Hey everyone, this is Geeky Vices with J-Belle, where I talk about bits of geekdom and pop culture I've been into lately. So, the general vibe of the show is that it's not about the latest and greatest, it's whatever my whims take me. Oh yeah, that's Jazz in the corner. He a lot of times likes photobombing these videos. So, don't be surprised if he's moving all over the place. But yeah, I generally like describing my show as being unhip, unrehearsed, unedited, and unhip. So, as you can tell, that's how well rehearsed I am. So, and then also the other thing is that I do tend to be spoilers light. I try avoiding the major spoilers of things. Like I don't want to ruin show content for people, but sometimes things slip through, or it's just sometimes you just want to go in with a completely fresh mind. Like sometimes for some movies, I like reading reviews before I go and see them. Other times, I don't because sometimes they spoil a little bit too much. So yeah, if you want to go with a completely fresh mind, look at my content. Hint, hint, hint. After the video. Anyways, this week I am talking about Spider-Man. So recently, Spider-Man Far From Home came out, and I did watch it, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm not going to be focusing just on that. I'm actually going to be talking about the Spider-Man movies overall because honestly, like before I even saw that, it's funny. Like a couple days beforehand, I was staying the night at a friend's house, and the original Spider-Man movie with Toby Maguire and Kirsten Dunst was on, and it just was making me like, that'd be awesome doing a Spider-Man day. Which I one time did the Batman day. It wasn't intentional. It was like New Year's Eve one year, and we're like, we're about watching a lot of different Batman content today. Let's just run with it. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do all the movies. I would want to do highlights. So if I was gonna do my, let's talk about my ultimate Spider-Man day, and then I will talk about what I think about Far From Home and the rankings of the movies. So my ultimate Spider-Man day would be doing both series and movies. So that would entail I probably would start off with TV series first and then build to movies. So I would go back with like the old, I think it was in the 60s version. I don't remember. I think it's Friends. It's the one where I think he had Iceman and Starfire, or no, Starfire is not right because that would be DC. Anyways, I don't even remember, but yeah, it's like where he has like the two friends, and it's cheesy, and it's like back when like superhero stuff was like, bam, pow, type of vibe. So I would start off with that. Then the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. I would watch a couple highlight episodes from that. Probably the first episode, and probably something involving this. Like probably an arc involving the Sinister Six. Oh, it'd be so hard to pick because like there's so many good episodes and there are great crossovers. And for me, a lot of the '90s superhero cartoons are always going to be the gold standard. I mean, for Batman, everything else has to be compared to that, especially Joker's because Mark Hamill will always be the best Joker. I don't care. I love Heath Ledger, but Mark Hamill is the Joker for me. And same, yeah, and like Kevin Conroy is Batman. That's just how it is. How it is. But yeah, same as like with the '90s X-Men. That's like the gold standard for me, and for Spider-Man, it's the same case. Like that's the one that I consider the most iconic and gets the vibe down. Because the thing is that Spider-Man has always been like when people are like saying who some of their favorite superheroes are. For me, Spider-Man has always been one of my top picks. Like usually I'll be like, oh, I like Nightwing and Gambit and Spider-Man. Like those are usually like the ones that like I think of off the top of my head. And here's why I love Spider-Man so much. One, he has good powers, but he's not overpowered. He's not Superman where he's like has everything. Like he has the super strength, he has the Spidey sense, he has the agility and the web slingers, but like he's not overpowered. But he's very creative with how he uses his abilities. And I think part of the reason I've always been drawn to characters like Batman and Spider-Man is that they'll use their environment to their advantage. So a lot of times they'll trick the enemy into like smashing into that electrical box over there, or they'll yeah, like they take advantage of their surroundings, which always gets me intrigued. And honestly, when I do D&D, I love opportunities to do that. So that's one thing I like about him. But also, as I said, he's not overpowered, but like he has enough skills in his pocket where he can do a lot. But also, biggest thing I've always appreciated about him is the fact that the world is out against him. Like, Jonah Jameson has its way. Spider-Man has a terrible reputation. Like, no, so many people believe that he is the bad guy, even though he is going out and rescue. So I like how even when he's doing the right thing, even though everyone's against him and no one believes him. So, like, that was always a very powerful thing for me. You know, it's like, it's not like Superman where, like, the whole world is on his side. And as I had to do another Batman analogy. I mean, there are a lot of parallels between them in that regard as well, because it's like a lot of people are terrified of Batman. And, like, as I said, like, he doesn't have a good reputation. So, yeah, that's another analogy. But my absolute favorite thing I enjoyed about the 90s cartoon is that Spider-Man was, like, really snarky and always had, like, one-liners. Like, he always had some sort of comeback to everything. Even if it was just in his head, like, he always had that. And I feel like, as far as the different movie versions of him, I feel like the Toby Maguire one was the closest to that. Because here's the thing. You gotta compare the three main actors. I feel like Toby Maguire, like, I think was the closest, that, even though he was by far clearly the oldest actor, and also, like, it was focusing a lot of, like, the Peter Parker university years, which I'm totally down with. And I know a lot of people will rag on the movies because of the third one. You gotta kind of ignore the third one, kind of like when you watch the original X-Men trilogy. It's like, you gotta ignore the third one. It's just because the third one's bad, you shouldn't dismiss how good the first two were. But so yeah, Andrew Garfield, he was too angsty for my taste, and I think honestly with the Andrew Garfield generation ones, I feel like Emma Stone was the best part about, like, it's Gwen Stacy, and, like, usually it's always about Mary Jane Watson, but, like, Gwen Stacy is a pretty important part in certain Spider-Man stories. Sorry, told you I'm unrehearsed. And then with the Tom Holland ones, I think it definitely gets the youthfulness of and how inexperienced he actually is. I feel like the Tobey Maguire and the Tom Holland ones also do the best job of, like, showing just how smart he is. Because I feel like you don't get that as much with the Andrew Garfield one. So that's my overall thoughts. Back to ranking. Sorry, I gotta go back to ranking or saying what else. So yeah, as I said, I'd be watching some 90s Spider-Man. I'd also throw in some Spectacular Spider-Man because I thought that was a really good series. Maybe an episode of Ultimate Spider-Man, even though here's the thing. Ultimate Spider-Man basically happened right after the original 90s Spider-Man, and it was the whole reason why the 90s Spider-Man series was canceled, because they wanted to revamp it, like, by having this weird alternate dimension where there's Venom and Carnage and the symbiotes, and it was just weird. And it's just like, you gotta resent the fact that, like, they abruptly ended a good thing to make something subpar happen. But that's how, like, these type of things happen. You can't help what's going on with the producers. Sorry, distracted by the vanity has kicked in. But yeah, so as I said, might watch an episode of that, but definitely would watch a couple episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man, which has my favorite version of Mary Jane of all time. Like, I think that she's sassy and she's charismatic, but she's also kind of like, she's kind of not into all the drama. So I really enjoy the version of Mary Jane in the Spectacular Spider-Man, and I think it was a pretty solid series. And I happen to own it, so it's pretty easy for me to watch episodes. I still want to own the 90s version, but I haven't seen that on DVD yet. Although they probably wouldn't release it on DVD because everything's Blu-ray these days, but that's a whole other issue. But yeah, so I would definitely watch some of that. Maybe, I know there's the newer one where it's like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's Spider-Man with a bunch of different, it's where, like, he's recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. I can't remember the name of that one. I might watch an episode of that one, but, like, it would be, like, a very much, like, the 90s one I'd watch several episodes of. Spectacular Spider-Man I watched several episodes, but, like, the 60s one and the one I'm talking about, which I know I should have researched the name before doing the video, but whatever. Those ones I would probably just watch one episode just to be like, okay, I got the vibe of it. Onward. So yeah, I would watch all of those. I would definitely watch. I feel like I would then, after I've done cartoon series, I'd watch Spider-Man. Actually, no, I wouldn't do that one yet. I would do the first two Spider-Man movies from Toby Maguire. I would then do Spider-Man into the Spiderverse because it references the Toby Maguire movies, and I highly, highly recommend Spider-Man into Spider-Verse. It's so good. It's very creative with the animation style. I love the humor to it. Watch the credits. There's the whole Spidey Belle song, which I saw it in theaters around Christmas, and I was obsessed with trying to find YouTube versions of that because I wanted to replace the Batman version of Jingle Bells as like being the thing that people randomly sing. So that's my goal for next Christmas is to learn all the lyrics of the Spidey Belle song and be able to sing it at random with people. But yeah, that's amazing. I wish I hadn't known Nicolas Cage was one of the voices before I went in because I kind of just kept on hearing him, and that kind of threw me off. And I will say, I'm one of those people I can get motion sick from like video games and such, and so sometimes the animation was a little bit fast paced and twisty. So it's like sometimes it was like I didn't get full fledged motion sick, but it was definitely like a little bit hard on my eyes and my brain at some points, but it's great. I highly recommend it. I'm sure you've probably been hearing about it, people talk about it. It's currently on Netflix. That's very easily accessible right now. But yes, watch it. It's amazing. So yeah, I would do that after the Toby Maguire ones. I would watch the first one, the Andrew Garfield ones, and then I would do both the Tom Holland ones, assuming that I have that the second one, Far From Home, is either on video or still in theaters whenever I do my Spider-Man day. I'll let you guys know when I actually successfully do it. But yes, that is what I want to do someday. That is what I want to do with one of my days off. I want to have a Spider-Man day. So, yeah. As far as Far From Home, if I'm gonna rank the movies, as you can tell, I'm not as big a fan of the Andrew Garfield ones. I would say that's the second Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 is still my favorite. I like the storyline in it. I think Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is still the best villain in all of them, and I think that's a big part of it. Like, I loved him in that. So that would still be my top favorite one. I think it's really neck and neck. I think the first Tobey Maguire still does it for me because like that was one that got me interested in all this. I think there's a little bit too much nostalgia for me, and as I said, like I like the Green Goblin as a villain, and I like the whole introducing the hero. And like I didn't even watch the full movie the other day. Like as I said, I was at a friend's house, and it was right before I had to walk out the door. It was on. Like I saw the whole wrestling scene, and it was just like being like, it was really powerful for me. Like the fact that like what happened to Uncle Ben, also like the fact that like he feels so guilty about, it. But also I'm just thinking it's like that guy's waving a gun around. Why are you expect like the guy who gypped Peter of his money? It's like why are you expecting someone to? Yeah, he's a great fighter, but why are you expecting him to take on someone with a gun and risk his life? Like, it's like, that's not worth it, especially when there's a security guard right there. It's like, yeah, it sucks he took your money too, and yeah, Peter let him go have pettiness, but it's like, that's still wrong to expect someone to risk their life when someone has a gun. Just my thoughts, which I never thought about really, but I was actually thinking about it really heavily. But yeah, like, so like, that's really neck and neck, but I think it's slightly edges out Far From Home. Far From Home is my next favorite. It was really, really good. I loved it. For the significant other, it might be his favorite, but no, I think they did a really good job with the Mysterio and the storyline and the whole romance element. Like it definitely felt authentic. Like it felt like the characters were authentically the age that they are, which is great. And also, it did something really important. It dealt with the aftermath of the Infinity War and Endgame, where it's like there are people who were quote unquote blitzed. So it actually really well delves into all of that about like what all the fans were probably thinking. It's like, well, what about this? Well, what about the people who are this or the people who are like this? It's like, yep, it answers a lot of those things that were already on our mind. It's like, yeah, some people came back into their homes and someone else lives there now. Some people have siblings, and younger siblings are now older than the older siblings are. Some people's IDs say that they are 21, but physically they're still 16. So yeah, it's just like I said, like it deals with a lot of that, and it's great. I'm really impressed with it, and it also I liked how the suit was more so became more so Peter's design at a point rather than being like just Tony giving him all these extra features. Definitely watch through all the credits. There's definitely some being like, oh damn moments. Like it's definitely worth watching through all the credits. Let's see. Let me see what else. Yeah, and also like one of the things that I remember the significant I didn't like about the Homecoming was that it felt like everything that Peter did as Spider-Man, like he messed up. So it's like it was like he couldn't do anything right, and like I realized he was, and like I do see that. Like I guess it didn't hit me as hard, but it's like Far From Home, like it doesn't do it to the same extent. So like it feels like he's competent versus like with Homecoming, like he's already been doing it, so he shouldn't be making as big mistakes, or at least there shouldn't keep on being those kind of repercussions constantly happening. So yeah, it was nice feeling. It was more empowered feeling, and like yeah, and I do think that Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job as Mysterio. Definitely, I'm glad with how they made it all work, because I definitely, when I saw the trailers, I mean like, I'm a Spider-Man fan and I'm confused by these trailers, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people who were too. Versus there's the people who aren't major Spider-Man fans who are probably just taking everything at face value and not understanding why some of us were being like, wait a minute. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend Far From Home. So yeah, if I was gonna rank them, Toby Maguire is 1, 2, then Far From Home, then Homecoming, then probably the first Andrew Garfield. Then I'd have to say Spider-Man 3 was better than the second Spider-Man from Andrew Garfield. I just have to say it. I think it was too much done, but I hated the Andrew Garfield one too much. I hated this, and also that terrible dubstep. Like definitely would be painful for me to have to sit through again. So yeah, that's my rankings. Actually Venom would probably be, if we're gonna kind of like segue something in, like if we pulled Venom in, that would be higher than Spider-Man 3 and a second Andrew Garfield. But yeah, alright. Anyways, I have talked about Spider-Man plenty, and I have another video to do, so that's it for now. Hope you guys continue enjoying your own geeky vices and potentially do your own Spider-Man days. Because you know what? We all enjoy Spider-Man. I'm just gonna say it. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't like Spider-Man. Alright, that's it for now. Bye, guys. Waiting for me to click the button. There it is. Bye. Bye.